Siku hizi nimesikia hata warembo wanatumia dawa za diabetes kukata weight. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Did you listen to the Hot Breakfast this morning? Here's what you missed.
A story a day.
It's mtu wangu wa Power. You know, this Saturday is it Sunday? Yeah, Saturday mtu wangu wa Power, Royal Media Services in partnership with wajanja wa IMTA will be participating or hosting a walk. It's called the Diabetes Walk, mtu wangu wa Power. Yeah. Agenda ni ku raise awareness as far as maswala ya ugonjwa wa kisukari. Is that right? Go.
Eric Mondi joins us in the studio.
Pamoja na mamresho wengine wa Power tu sana mtu wangu.
Mmoja anaitwa June.
Mwingine anajulikana kama Faith.
I am Eric Mondi, diabetes educator at Kenya Diabetes Management Information Center, and I'm also a champion living type 1 diabetes for 22 years.
22 years.
Yes. So living with type 1 diabetes means currently injecting 4 to 5 times a day.
Injecting what?
Injecting insulin, a drug called insulin.
Insulin.
Which is the challenge I have. My body is not able to produce. They say that my body produces absolutely no insulin. That's why I have to inject the one which is manufactured.
Yeah.
So back to Jeff's question about the statistics. The numbers are around 800,000 cumulative overall.
Yeah.
Type 1, type 2 and gestational diabetes, any form of diabetes.
Yeah.
In estimate. And diabetes is majorly classified into 2 categories. Type 2, which accounts for around 95%, and type 1, which accounts for around less than 10%. Then we have other forms of diabetes.
What's the difference between type 1 and type 2?
The difference is the disease process, or the conditions process. Type 2 is largely associated with lifestyle or aging process.
Yeah.
It is large, it is big in number because of the changes in our lifestyle.
Yeah.
With the urbanization. Type 1 is more of a bit complex, caused by mainly autoimmune process, genetic defect in a person's gene, which leads to immune system. Instead of fighting just the pathogen and the viral disease or infectious diseases, it fights its own cells, destroying the insulin producing cells. That's the main difference. But in both of them, they have high sugar levels in their blood if they are not controlled.
June.
I've had this for 17 years. I was diagnosed in 2008.
How? I mean, what brought about the diagnosis?
Well, I've always been healthy, sporty and everything. But I had I have an aunt who has type 2 diabetes, and I would always read these brochures. And I started noticing, one, I was losing weight, though I eat normally. And I would find I was waking up at night extremely thirsty, to the point where, the carton of juice, like the Del Monte, I wouldn't even give myself time to pour it in a cup. I would just drink it. So extreme thirst is an indicator.
Kunze does that every night.
Sorry?
He does that every night after, leaving the bar.
Okay.
Only that it's not juice. GIN.
Yeah.
GIN.
So
you drink the whole thing out of the box.
I was just extremely thirsty.
Yeah.
And so I remembered what I had read in kind of the literature in my aunt's house, and I said, so about 2 weeks later, I said, listen, let me just go and get checked out. I was not feeling sick, nothing, right? And so took myself to Nairobi Hospital, told my boss, I'll be back in 30 minutes like this. This is going to be quick, fast. So went to Nairobi Hospital. They did all these tests. They're like, you're not ailing anywhere. I'm like, I'm fine. I need to get back to work, right? So I was there, I think, for about 4 hours, and they decided to do, there's a kind of the definitive diabetes test, which is called HbA1c, which basically checks your red blood cells and the level of sugar over the last 3 months. And they said, with these readings, you do have diabetes. That's how I found out.
17 years ago.
Yes.
And you've been living with it since?
Positively so.
Positively?
Yes.
And how has the journey been?
There's been ups and downs, right? There was a time when I didn't have medical insurance, and so I wasn't taking care of myself because insulin is very expensive. I would say my prescription right now per month, it's about 25,000 shillings. I'm fortunate that I have health insurance. Many type 1 diabetes people do not have that insurance. So for me, there was a time I couldn't afford it. I got sick, really sick. I went into what we call there's ketoacidosis. Basically, your sugars are so high, there's just your hormones are all over the place, and you can die. You can get into a diabetic coma. I didn't want to go to hospital because I knew they'd admit me. My sister came to visit me, and she called my brother and said she didn't want to go to hospital. And my brother just said, let's all meet at Nairobi Hospital. When they checked my blood sugar levels, the glucometer couldn't even read. It was just saying high, extremely high. You're trying to drink water, it tastes like metal. It was, yeah. So I stayed in hospital for about 3 days, and that was the lowest point. Yeah.
Faith.
I don't think I can remember much of when I didn't have diabetes because I was 2 when I was diagnosed.
Oh my God. You were 2.
Yes, I was 2. August 5th, I remember the date, 2008. And I think at that time, I don't think it was well known at that time, diabetes and all.
Yeah.
So from the stories I've heard from my mom and dad, it was hectic.
Yeah.
Completely hectic. Because I don't think there's a test that I haven't done. I was just
Serious?
all over the place. I'm 19 now. So it's
You're
also been
19.
17 years for me, yes. Yeah,
And you inject every day
every day.
at school.
Yes.
Do you ever forget? Do you in between breaks? Wacha hii chai paka stay.
And then unatupa mbao,
Yeah.
unaenda unacheza sana,
Naona kula chapati 2-3.
unasahau.
Sio.
It's been too long. It's like a norm for me. Like I can't imagine
Second
me
nature.
without- exactly. Like I can't imagine me without it. It's,
The rest
Very
of
normal.
your life.
yes.
And like June was saying, it's expensive.
Very. Before my mom discovered DMI, she would come back home and she would cry. She would pull her hair out because my mom is self-employed, and at that time, business was down. Everything was down, and I think like one pen would go about 3,000. Yeah, one pen is about 3,000. My pen lasts for a week, actually. So she would come back home and she would pull her hair out, and she would be like, at time she wanted to commit, like,
No.
yeah,
No.
because it was painful.
Do you have-
It's a painful experience.
Do you have
Because I was
siblings?
so young. Yes, I have a brother.
Older or younger?
Younger. He's in grade 8 now. He's called Asha.
And where do you go to school?
Yeah.
Where do you go to school?
I finished high school last year. I've been called to do engineering.
Engineer Faith.
You design.
You can re-engineer Igunza anytime.
Yes, so I've been called to do engineering, and I'm hoping like I'll make a breakthrough through engineering because these things are expensive,
Yeah.
and I feel like, I can, because it's the only thing that I know. It's the only thing that is like pushing me forward, and I want to help others like DMI is, because DMI is helping a lot of kids,
Yeah.
a lot of kids. Yeah.
It must be difficult for most of people in Kenya. I mean, people are already struggling with their
Yeah.
way of life, Unga,
Maziwa. Si fuel, when do you have fuel? Kuna watu wa fair. They both begin with an F.
Yes.
Like kuna fair. Sawa. Na fire.
Fire.
Your design.
Eric,
Now,
how are people surviving?
it is tough out there in the real situation. My story is a different one. 23 years, over 2 years without diagnosis. I grew up in Siaya, in Game, in the village. They used to treat me every month for malaria,
Oh God.
and they will describe it as a mature malaria, stubborn malaria, which is not responding to treatment. So I'm a miracle to be alive today and even to be in this show. Because type 1 is very dramatic. That's why some people fear it. Within 1 week, somebody changes with type 1.
In what sense changes how?
Their condition, the thirst, the weight loss is dramatic. And then the condition you talk about, the DKA, the ketoacidosis, can kill you. In fact, ketoacidosis should be managed in ICU. If I imagine those years were there ICUs. Luckily, I also performed well and got admission at Lenana School.
Where it was called
Changes.
but before that, before Duke of York.
Yes. So I joined Lenana School,
Yes.
no diagnosis yet. Third term, that's from 1. Third term, it's overwhelming. I didn't even the symptoms down because I'd lived with them and they will vary. So I wrote the symptoms down because I will complain to my people and they ignore them. Thirst, they will say there's no problem with taking a lot of water. Because by then, taking a lot of water has not been, it was not in public knowledge that it could be a condition. Then when you take a lot of water, logically, you will pee more. So it will be dismissed. Being tired is another symptom. They will say that you are just being lazy, just being cunning.
Uzembe.
Yeah, uzembe. So from there, I will not continue. So I wrote those symptoms down for anybody who will care, because it was a bother to me. So when I was taken to Mbagathi Hospital, by then it was commonly known as IDH. So I just read the symptoms under the table. I didn't even want the doctor to see them because the list was longer. I didn't even reach 50%, half of my concerns.
Did he pick it up?
Yes, the doctor was a bright doctor and a bright patient.
Yeah.
So it was picked up immediately.
Yeah.
Yes, and I was only tested for blood sugar. So from there I was lucky. And then from there the journey started.
How many times do you prick yourself or inject yourself?
I inject myself 4 times a day, 2 in the morning, then 2 in the morning before breakfast, and then the other 2, one before lunch and one before dinner.
Yeah.
That's a total of 4 injections.
And these are insulin doses.
Yes.
And when we talk about insulin, tunajua tu ma Nobel Prize akina Best akina Frederick when walikuwa awarded, but insulin, what is it exactly? Na pia tukiongelea diabetes for those who might not be aware, ni sukari iko mingi kwa mwili ama ni ukosefu wa sukari kwa mwili, na insulin inafanya nini?
So allow me to start with defining where this sugar is coming from, the sugar in the body. Whenever we eat, we have 3 major forms of food.
Yes.
That is carbohydrate, which is broken down to glucose, the form that the body can use. We have protein, which is broken down to amino acid, the form that the body can use to build the body. So the carbohydrate, the glucose is used to give the body energy. It's like the electricity, the steam of the body, or the petrol of the body.
The fuel, yeah.
Then we have the protein, which is the blocks, building blocks of the body. And then we have the fats, which is another form of energy and also building block of our body. So when the food is broken down, most of our foods tend to contain carbohydrate, which is glucose. For that glucose, once it is digested, it is absorbed into the bloodstream. Then bloodstream is just a channel of distribution. It must get to the cell. To get to the cell, now it needs an activator or a key, which is insulin. So if insulin lacks,
and insulin is produced by
the pancreas. Yes, insulin produced by the pancreas, among other hormones which the pancreas produces. Yes.
So if you are diabetic, it means your body does not produce insulin.
So we have 3 scenarios. If you are diabetes, your body could be producing insulin, but it is resistant to the insulin, or the insulin is defective in function.
Okay.
It's not sensitive enough to activate the body to affect the sugar.
To jumpstart.
Yes, that's the process. So when so that the sugar can get into the mitochondria, where it will be turned into energy.
Biology 101.
It will be turned.
Yes.
Then, or you could be having adequate insulin production, like 50%, 60%.
Yeah.
Not enough to convert all the sugar, the glucose into the
energy.
mitochondria.
And does it affect the medulla oblongata?
Definitely. Then the third scenario is our scenario type 1, whereby the insulin producing cells are destroyed. They're not working.
So you're not producing insulin at all.
You have to inject many times.
Your design.
A day.
Yes, per day.
4 times. Do we have people who inject more than 4 times? Do we have people who do 2 times or once a day?
2 times for type 1. It was an old practice which we are now campaigning from last year.
Yeah.
We are trying to campaign again. It did not work adequately because we are trying to mimic how a normal body works. Your body today, if you decide you're going to fast, your body will produce only basal insulin, enough to sustain you at that level.
Yeah.
If you are going to eat anyhow, your body will try to match that. Will produce insulin to match that.
Yeah.
So if you inject 2 times, it won't work that way.
Well.
So the many times, in fact, the 4 injection, there is one which is standard. It is called basal insulin. It is given once. It's a form of insulin which is modified to stay longer, like 24 hours in your body. So that one you should take whether eating or not eating.
Okay.
Then the other 3 injections are to cover the meals. So if I'm not going to eat, I should not inject it.
So for me, my doctor gives me a prescription for like 3 months, right? So I've been going to Malibu pharmacy for the longest time, so they have my records. I just drop my prescription, they'll give me my medicine, and every month they'll remind me and deliver it to the house. Yeah.
Do you have to refrigerate it or?
It has to stay in a fridge.
Yeah.
Even when it's being delivered to your house, it comes wrapped in ice.
God,
Yes.
like
So,
butterflies, you know,
Yeah.
in those scientific
So the
farms.
one that you're currently using, like
Yeah.
say for example this one is what I think I said using it the pen when on Sunday. So it's fine. It doesn't have to stay in the fridge. But whatever I'm not using stays
In the fridge.
In the fridge.
Yes.
25 times 3 is 75,000, you know that?
Sorry.
25,000 a month,
Times 3.
Yes.
75, hiyo ni
Yeah.
quarter moja ya mwaka,
Mathafu.
times
Only
4.
rent.
Only
Some
rent.
places.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
In many places, the rent
It's
is
rent
school
for a long time.
rent, school fees, and daily use, and
Yeah.
everything of that
Yeah.
sort, and transport,
Yeah.
and everything.
Taskatwili.
And so you'll find for those who are it's difficult to afford it. You're
Yeah.
finding families are having to make a choice.
Yeah.
Do I buy like saving insulin for my child or do I buy food for the family?
Your design.
And that's why DMI is
Alafu
here.
unapata uko at a crossroads.
So what happens if you're the sacrificial lamb? I mean, mother chooses.
With chakula.
Yes.
Instead
So
of-
what would happen? This child, if mother chooses like family above the child, as Eric has said, this child is eating, right? So the glucose is being produced, but because they don't have insulin, they are getting sicker and sicker. So your sugars get high. What you'll find about diabetes, I mean, if you look at all of us, we don't look like we have diabetes. I once asked someone, is there a look? There's no look for diabetes, right?
aliona tu mali safi.
Because what don't expect kama Mwafrika, whenever you're sick there has to be pain, you need to look like you're so what would happen to this child? They would get very sick. It also excessive sugar starts affecting your eyes. It starts affecting your organs inside. If you get even a small wound, for a diabetic person whose sugars are not well controlled, that wound could take maybe 2-3 times longer to heal than you.
Yeah.
And talking about wounds, I've given birth to 4 children.
Where?
I've never, my oldest is 16,
Pull up.
but I
16.
consciously made a decision. I will not do it via C-section. Why?
Oh,
Healing
C-section is a
process.
wound. Is a wound,
Yeah.
and so I would constantly keep active just to make sure
You
we're
push.
gonna push these kids out. Yeah.
When I was looking for a school, I got rejected, because they are afraid of kids with diabetes, and I don't know, I don't understand, because we are normal like all the other kids, just that we have to watch our diet. Like that's majorly the big issue. Yeah. So when I first moved, I actually live in South Sea, so when we first moved there, my dad walked to over 10 schools. They could feed me in, but immediately when they had diabetic, they'd be like, "No, we can't manage this. Just go search somewhere else."
No.
Yes, it is very possible. Even before I went to high school, we had to go like a month earlier to, tell them about my condition and everything. I was the first child there with diabetes, and they also wanted to reject me, but we pleaded because every child deserves like a chance to study despite everything, right? Yeah, so as the first child, it was so complicated. It was so complicated when I first joined high school, because I had to go to the dispensary every now and then, and they're like, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" Like, I felt like I was being treated as special, and I didn't want that because I'm normal like all the rest, That special treatment is quite makes people uncomfortable.
But you weren't a boarder, right?
I was
Oh.
actually yes,
Oh.
because I studied in Meru.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to.
Not Kaga.
No, I was in St. Mary's.
Hey.
Nah, once a saint,
Always a saint. How's your?
your design.
And would you get a refrigerator in
Yes,
yeah,
we bought one.
for the school? I mean,
No, like
your parents had to buy one for you.
yes.
Lakini ulikuwa na benefit, kuna watoto walikuwa wanakuja zamani nikia chakula yangu hapa. Alafu naambia ni 5 bob.
Exactly.
usapele watu.
Mbaya sana. For insulin, do we have alternatives, and how do you ensure that you don't get a raw deal? Because unajua siku hizi nimesikia hata warembo wanatumia dawa za diabetes kukata weight. Do you know
I
that?
didn't know that.
Inaitwa
Ozempic. Ozempic was meant to be like, I think, for type 2 diabetes. But yeah, people are abusing it. Yeah.
saa hizi wanatumia, especially ladies, wanakataa ku take the stairs towards weight loss. Sawa wanadungwa
Yeah.
Ozempic. And do you know how much? At least 100,000 per dose.
No.
Hiyo design.
The lawyers have heard of costing around now 20,000 now.
Unaget, but not for diabetes purposes.
Yes.
Wanaitumia kukata weight. The cost aspect of it. How about those who are unable, and how does
Faith has shared a story when mom will really struggle, and during that time we used to have them in other forms of packages. We call it a vial. Vial is a bottle which is 10 millimeters. The one is 3 millimeters. There's a time I heard of a pen of a Landas going for 7,000. This was a drug for 1 month. So it is difficult. Myself, I was not that lucky. I've even used expired insulin because it will meant going without insulin.
Does that help? I mean, does it work?
Okay, a different story. It worked because it was the only hope.
Yeah. That's faith at
Yes.
work.
You gotta have
Because
faith.
when I was going to missing it will mean landing into ICU.
Well,
So that's how difficult it is. We make the choices. If we won't have it, and a person missing insulin, 1 week they will land in ICU.
so DMI, how does it help those who?
So over the years, DMI has helped by creating awareness, and we've had host here, been hosted here in the past. So that awareness comes with also with hope. Like today, those who are going to listen to this story, they're going to have hope. Number two, DMI helps in mobilizing support for insulin, life-saving medication, which has been there for now close to over. So the third period of DMI, it has supported the children and youth with type 1 diabetes, and now we are partnering with the counties. We are now able to set these services at every county referral hospital, and they're able to get the best insulin. The insulin that we are giving, the Good Faith is using, is the same as the insulin being used in America. So currently we are offering the best
Nice.
through the partnership.
How many people die here?
So currently DMI is supporting over 6,500 children and youth with type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
Cumulative.
Free of charge. Or
Free of charge. And there's something which we've overlooked, the testing. The many injections calls for many testing of blood sugar level, because you can get again too low or too high. So the insulin they're injecting, you must also measure it with sugar levels and what you're going to eat. So also the program provides, it is also called as Changing Diabetes in Children, provides testing kits.
So right now, if we have parents listening or families listening, and they are hurting one way or the other from a member of theirs suffering from diabetes, they can contact your offices. They can swing by your offices.
Yes. They are most
Where are you
welcome.
located? How do they get in touch?
We are at, if in Nairobi, we are along Gong Road at Jadela Place, second floor, DMI Center. But in your county, go to the county referral hospital, diabetes clinic, ask for the program supporting children and youth with type 1 diabetes. You will be guided.
I'm joining campus September.
To study engineering?
Yes, to study engineering.
You've been called, I mean, you've been accepted?
I've been called to Moi, but I think that's quite far. So I want to make an IIT transfer to JKUAT, institutional transfer
Yeah.
to JKUAT to do my mechanical engineering.
Mechanical.
Yeah.
You're a designer. Tesla.
Yeah. Elon Musk.
Ford. Your design.
I've always wanted to give back. I'm a runner, running casually, but I've partnered with DMI. So I have an initiative called KMs for DM. So KMs is kilometers, DM is a scientific name for type 1 diabetes. It's diabetes mellitus.
Or say direct messages.
No. So since May, I've been between May and July. I've targeted to run 300 kilometers. I'm now 60 kilometers to my 300 kilometers and asking people to sponsor me per kilometer, and all that money is going to programs for DMI. So it's my way of giving back.
How do they do it?
Sorry?
How do they sponsor you?
Oh, so they can send, so I'm running 300 kilometers, so you pick your distance, whether it's 30, 50, multiply that by 10 shillings or more, and send it to DMI. The pay bill number is 928-100. The account number is KMs for DM. Yeah.
928-100.
Yeah.
KMs
For DM.
DMs.
So that is KMS for
Number 4?
Number 4. DM.
DMS.
Yes, yeah.
your
So
design.
far, I've managed to raise, I think we crossed the 300,000 shilling
Nice.
yesterday.